Hi, my name is Victor Thomas. I'm a candidate for Caddo Parish Commission District 3. I'm a local community organizer and native of Shreveport, Louisiana. I am here to serve our community, and I'm excited for this opportunity to be able to share my vision for our district with you all today. I would define the responsibilities of our Caddo Parish Commissioners as one that is proper stewards of our fiscal responsibilities, maintaining the duties of our infrastructure as well as many aspects of our community and our daily lives. However, I feel that the primary responsibility of a Caddo Parish Commissioner is to be available and accessible to the residents in which they represent. Not only being available and accessible, but being someone who's going to echo and amplify their voices so that their concerns are met and they're addressed by the Caddo Parish. I think from a practical approach, anytime that you spend more than what you bring in, that presents a problem. I think that needs to be addressed. I do think that the parish has done a responsible job of the finances in which they bring in and the revenue in which they oversee. However, I think that we can take a look at different unique opportunities that will allow us to increase our revenue, which will allow us to be able to provide resources that will help us sustain our budget in the future. I believe in some areas it definitely does make a lot of sense to separate those services. I think by us reviewing those intersectionalities and where our interests meet, I think that we can both develop different ways in which we can meet the needs as well as addressing any risks that come across with overlapping in those services. But I also believe that in a way that if we all look at the different ways in which we coexist in our community, both rural and inner city, I think that we'll be able to come with better outcomes that address the needs of both rural and inner city issues. I think that Caddo Parish has a very unique opportunity in order to encourage economic development. I think that our area is very, very rich in many different aspects, not only in our inner city, but also in our rural areas. I think that by making sure that we are eliminating any barriers that obstruct economic growth, I think that as we review those barriers, we can come to a consensus on what are our best practices and our best approaches in ensuring that we develop economic growth, not only to ensure that we develop it, that we put in practices that help to sustain economic growth in a long-term sense. I feel that the parish has done a very responsible job of managing those funds received by those millages. I think that's exemplified by the AAA bond rating. I think that I hope to be instrumental in ensuring that we continue to receive that rating. I think that any millages that we have, especially those coming up, it's very important to review the distribution of those funds and how we utilize those funds as we provide the services to our citizens. As I stated before, with Shreveport being one of the largest contributors to our parish fund, I think it's very important to work with with the city government to address the needs and concerns and identify ways in which we can collaborate. I think that collaboration will always be our best approach in order to sustain and to provide the best services and be able to address the needs of our citizens. I believe the commission can do a really a huge effort in identifying and addressing just exactly what we have in our parish that can contribute to the success of that. As you stated, we do have a lot of adjudicated property. I think by reevaluating that property and addressing those needs to adaptive uses of those properties, I think is our best option. A lot of our different buildings and the homes that we have here are simply sitting vacant because the homeowners have not developed those properties. I see a lot of potential in those properties and a lot of potential for not only economic growth, but growth in our communities. By providing those homes and making them available to people to be able to grow and support their families here in our parish, it also helps to keep revenue inside of our parish. I'm a huge proponent of the power of collaboration. I'm very proud of a record of working with individuals across all aisles, not just both, but many different aisles that foster and have unique different ideals that will help us to be able to look and properly assess what our needs are. As we think about what our struggles and our barriers are, I think it takes a lot of different minds, a lot of different perspectives for us to be able to come up with and to be able to implement a plan that's going to address everyone's needs equitably and that's going to give us the maximum benefit. One of the main priorities that I think that Caddo Parish can address is juvenile justice. I think that as we invest and we think of ways that we can support our juvenile offenders, be it with rehabilitation or even with educational resources, I think if we can put ourselves in a position to provide them with the best option and outcome to ensure that they're going to have a brighter future, I think it can help to reduce recidivism, also allow those young offenders to be able to get the tools and resources that they need that's going to give them professional and personal growth that's going to allow them to re-enter society as a more productive citizen. Yes, and allow me to add on to what I was just speaking about with juvenile services. Not only juvenile services, but we can also address infrastructure by looking at our roads, our parks, and realizing how we use them. We can utilize them better to effectively serve our communities. Not only better serving our communities, but how can we better serve them from an economic development standpoint? By utilizing educational resources, I think we can better help and support in tailoring a workforce that's going to address those needs and address attracting the businesses that we want to see in our community in the future. Also by providing tax incentives that are going to encourage economic development and encourage businesses to visit, and not only visit, but plant roots here in our community that are not going to just only going to sustain us and help us now, but what are they going to do and how are they going to help us in the future? We have a history of having different companies that have been staples of our community for many decades, and I think that as we look into the future and what the needs of not only our parish but the needs of our community are, I think that we can always look at different approaches, review different opportunities, and figure out how those opportunities best fit our needs.